Welcome to episode 2 of the Bear Pit Pod. Back for we made a second series, second one.
One in a series.
We didn't get pulled. We did alright, didn't we? Yeah. In this segment, we did a little bit before the West Brom game and after on the train there with a few cans. So we'll play that first, a bit of instant reaction, and then you'll hear us again.
Elliot here from the Bear Pit TV, and this is a bit of the Bear Pit Pod. We are on the train on the way to West Brom. I've not been to West Brom before, but you have.
Yeah, I've been a couple of times.
This is Greg, by the way. You might have seen him from a few videos. You might have famously seen him from the live stream at Wilco's Testimonial where about 100 people were trying to get him to sing Delilah, but you weren't having it, were you?
No, I think they're still shouting at me to do it now. But who knows today? If we beat West Brom today, it could happen today. But no, I enjoy West Brom. It's a good away day. Nice local derby. It won't be as easy as it normally is.
No Shaq and Johnson again.
Are they definitely out today?
Definitely.
I didn't realise that. It's to me, Shaqiri is a bit of I don't know.
He's made a bog roll.
Yeah, basically, isn't he?
Or do you think it's because his calves are the size of small children? I think that's the reason he's having so much trouble.
I just think he's a bit of a liability. He's much like the play. He's too inconsistent, whether it's playing or when he's injured. I was just talking to you just before, and I said I think Hughes needs to look at someone else next season, just because you can't have a player like that who's
dropping out every other week.
Yeah, who's in and out of the team all the time. So yeah.
So after Everton, and it wasn't a bad performance, and we could have easily taken the win or so. Would you keep the same lineup for today?
Yeah, and I think he will.
Not
as well.
start Berahino.
I don't think he'll start Berahino. I think he'll bring him on as a sub again. You can't drop Crouch. He's been in amazing scoring form. He's been playing well. He'll do the same again. He'll be same starting 11. The one thing that I didn't like about Everton game, I thought Aflai did well, but I just don't see him as a right winger. I think when he plays, he seems to bring the ball into the middle a lot more. I think we need that right winger.
Yeah.
As we do with Shaqiri. So.
Well, I think we've got Juve back.
Yeah, I don't think he'll start. Do you think he'll be on the bench, won't he?
Yeah, you'd imagine so. Unless he does a magical switch back to that 3 at the back.
Or he might even bring Johnny Walters back in. Who knows? Is he?
No, he's still
injured.
He
out? Right. Okay.
He's still injured, as well as Jeff Cameron. But big news before this game was that Berahino's been on the gear.
Yeah,
he's been on Summit.
Apparently so, yeah. And I read something on Twitter yesterday that he could be banned further again, but I hope that's not the case. You think if he's been banned for it already and it was kept quiet?
You think that he's served his ban, he's done his time, even though it was behind closed doors and no one really knew.
No.
I don't see how he could get done again myself.
It'd be nice for him to come on today and get a goal against his former club.
I'd fucking love that. And I said on Twitter earlier this week, I'd love him to just go and do the Robbie Fowler celebration, sniff the line right in front of Pulis.
Straight in front of the West Brom
in front of the West Brom fans. It'd be an absolute riot.
The thing is, as well, he's got a point to prove today to West Brom fans and Tony Pulis, and everyone else. So he'll be up for it more than anyone today, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. Before we do go, and we'll probably do a bit after the game on the train back if we can coherently talk anymore after we've sunk some beers. But shout out to everyone who did tweet hashtag bring back the robot in the week, because Crouch did do it.
Yeah,
I like to feel we influenced that.
It was brilliant. I was there myself. He was right in front of us, and it was great to get 100 goals, and the fans really appreciate when he did it as well.
I was going to say there was another mini cheer after when he did the robot, which was fucking brilliant to see. But we will see you after the game. Hopefully it's after we've got 3 points in a bit. So this is the Bear Pit Pod, back for the second part. This is the pissed up bit of the pod, because we've had a few cans and that, and now we're on the way back from the game, and it wasn't great. That wasn't great, was it, Greg?
No, it was pretty bad, to be fair. It wasn't that good. Didn't really get going today. We let in an early goal. That's the worst thing we could have done, and West Brom defended it.
Yeah, it wasn't a great performance by us. The thing that struck me that was the weirdest sort of thing that I could see was an Aflai on the wing. It just didn't work.
I said before the Everton game, I thought he's not a winger. He's a good player, don't get me wrong, but his best position is central midfield. I just thought we were lacking that pace down the right hand side. I thought Arnie didn't really look on the ball, but neither did any of them. I thought Grant had made a couple of decent saves. Bruno.
He was probably the man of the match today.
Yeah, you think he would. They had a couple of chances, I think, West Brom, but no. It was a poor game, to be fair.
Poor game. They nicked the goal early on, and then it was just, we pretty much had them on the ropes. Really, we had them pinned into their half for the majority of the game. It's just we couldn't find that way through. We couldn't find a way to penetrate. We couldn't really do much.
There was just no finishing touch. There's no pace in the game. They brought in Goyon. He looks a decent young lad, but he's the type of player you bring on when you're 2 or 3 up.
He didn't do enough for me.
No, he didn't do enough for me, and I'm sorry, but when you're paying, I'd hate to think how much you're paying Boney to sit on that bench every day. And don't get me wrong, a lot of people think, definitely have him think he's useless, but surely, a player like that you got to bring on to just, to try to get a goal. Just go for it. If you're 1-0 down, just go for it. Bring someone on who you're paying a lot of money to score goals who's just sitting on the bench.
Well, we did bring we did bring Barry, that's the drink talking. We did bring Berahino and Jufon. Neither did much when they did come on.
I don't think either really made a lot of impact in the game. I don't think Berahino did a lot at all. I've said to you, 10 minutes in, I think he got booed for his first touch.
Yeah, he got booed for his first touch, and that was about 10 minutes after it came on.
And I said to you, his first touch. I didn't think he was very good at all today. I was expecting a lot more from him, because I thought any player today would be up for it, it'd be him. But he just didn't produce.
Yeah, really disheartening and downbeat performance. You expect a lot more for a team against a team like West Brom, because you feel like we're,
especially a local derby.
Local derby.
You expect a bit more.
We're a lot closer to them in the league than anyone else. We were expecting a lot more of a competitive game, really, and it just didn't turn out that way. They sort of overran us, but they just sort of outdid us. Tactically.
It was typical Tony Pulis. I'm sorry. As long as Tony Pulis is manager of West Brom or any other club, I think we'll struggle to get a result against him. I really do.
It seems like he's got the beating of us when he plays against us.
Not just that. When we play Crystal Palace, he's the same. He's a good manager. I was probably one of them who probably did want him to get the time, but at the same time, he is a good manager, and he'll want to go one over Stoke, of course he will. It's his former club, so.
You can't blame him for wanting to do one over us, because we'd expect him to do.
Well, he's done it a few times.
Someone else.
Ever since we've come against Pulis, we haven't won. So it says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. We'll end it there before we kill ourselves. That is the bit of the pissed up pod on the train back from West Brom, and you'll probably hear me and Craig next.
So yeah, that was our review from the train. Obviously, no one was pretty happy about that. If you are watching, by the way, on YouTube, you can also find us on iTunes. Go and subscribe there. SoundCloud, Acast, we've got it all.
It's all there, isn't it?
Got it all. But what was your thoughts of the game?
West Brom?
Yeah.
I'll have to be honest, I was actually at a wedding fair on Saturday. I'll jump straight in there. Plastic. So I'm engaged, been married, and I was at a wedding fair, so I missed it. But what I did manage to catch was the second half, which was good, apparently. It reflected a lot better.
None of it was good for me.
But the first half was disastrous from what I've seen. I've watched the highlights, I've listened, spoke to family, friends, yourself. The first half was shite, I'm right in thinking. The second half was a little bit better. Is that a general summarisation of the game?
Yeah, it was sort of, if you can remember any of the other games where we've played a Pulis team since he's left, pretty much a carbon copy of all of them.
Are they?
For me, they've all been pretty much exactly the same. It's just that sitting deep that we can't seem to deal with. Can't break down a side.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think Crouch, when you saw him starting, you thought, yeah, okay, he deserves to start because of how well he's been playing. But there was that nagging worry of, isn't that exactly what they're going to want? Sort of a big striker who's just going to ball balls up to it. And I think, that happened in the end, really.
What did frustrate me more than anything is when we bought Berahino on, why isn't he playing up top with Crouch? That should have occurred for me, because I don't think Berahino's ever played up top on his own, or when he's tried to, it's not worked for West Brom. Crouch, for all his years of being at Stoke, he's never really been paired up top with another striker, which is surely his biggest strength, is to get the ball into play, bring it down, feeding a striker. Why we can only seem to do one or the other, I don't know. Crouch's biggest strength is to play with somebody, and I think Berahino's biggest strength is also to play with a target man that can trap the ball, bring it down. I don't know why that didn't happen on Saturday.
God knows, maybe Crouch was knackered. His little legs
It's very sick.
If you haven't already noticed, we have got a guest, which is Tom Thrower, blogger extraordinaire. A blogger fucking causes chaos every time he writes one, because he's a big Hughes Out campaigner.
You still there?
No, I've reached the next stage, which is probably worse, of just apathy. Like now I don't think we're going to finish 7th or 8th, I'm just a bit less angry about it all, because...
You've just accepted it?
Yeah. For the time being, it's just a bit, yeah.
So, when we have a guest on, what we try to do is what we did to introduce people to ourselves last week, Craig, is do first, best, worst Stoke memory. So
First was, I'm younger than these two, so I don't have any Victoria Ground memories, because we'd moved to the Britannia when I was 12 months old, so I never went there. My first,
oh, fucking old are you?
20?
Christ, making me feel old.
My first memory is probably Hoekstra's hat-trick against Reading.
Yeah, I remember that was good.
I couldn't tell you what any of the goals were like, but it was just sort of as a I think it was 6 or 7, just hearing the Hey Hey Hoekstra song. It's one of my first ones.
I remember that was a classic. I remember his
it was a brilliant
hat trick.
Absolute
Strike, wasn't it?
Belter.
Screamer. Yeah, he was absolutely hero.
It was a brilliant hat trick, that.
Yeah.
Best?
Promotion was amazing, but probably the semi-final, just because it was something that I really remember and sticks out, and I can almost remember the entire day from going down on the train to sort of meeting up with family in London. And
You're a little bit older for that one.
Yeah, I would have been about
nappies.
14, 15, and actually having proper memory of it rather than the promotion where I just sort of remember.
So that was like me
everything
last time, because I couldn't properly enjoy the playoff final because you were that bit younger.
Well, how old are you? The playoff final I would have been about 14, I think. So I was a bit.
So I'd have been 10.
And I would have been about that age for the cup final and about 10 for promotion.
Yeah. It's true though. Yeah, the playoff final victory. I was 14, so I was too young to really go out and celebrate it properly. That memory doesn't hold as well for me because I just went home, went to bed.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was it.
Definitely. Worst?
I've been pretty blessed. Stoke haven't been very bad.
No.
In my life.
Been no absolute chaos.
No. I do remember when I spoke to you after the... Go on, you tell.
No, wait, so it's not my worst one, but after the Palace game, I said that, I think that was probably the worst I've ever seen Stoke, and I'll stick by that. Not because we were, as in like, the worst players, but the worst performance from the group of players we had. But my worst memory is more sort of because of the way it occurred, was the semi-final loss. So I was in Brighton, in a pub in Brighton, which...
The Liverpool game.
Yeah. And it's weird, it's a pub that an Anfield, the Liverpool fan group, always go to for matches. So it was me and about 100 Liverpool fans.
Yeah.
And for the first, sort of, Arnie scored right on the edge of half-time, and the next 45 minutes I was absolutely on top of the world.
Yeah.
And then I was watching it with a mate who's a Liverpool fan, who is the spitting image of Munisia. And as he steps up to take the penalty, he goes, "I'm naff at penalties, I'll miss this." And it just broke my heart, because he totally fluked it for me.
We should have won that game as well by 2 goals.
Yeah.
We played very, very well.
Yeah. Van Ginkel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, awful.
Remember that.
That's his legacy at Stoke, was that.
Haunts me, that chance does. So we've got no Tom. We don't want to hear any more about your life. We're sick of hearing about your life now, even though it was only for a couple of minutes. The biggest thing that happened for me with the weekend just gone in the game was, and it's caused a bit of a furore. Is that how you say it? Furore? Yeah,
go with
that way.
I think we know what you're on about. So
is West Brom leaking this drugs story?
Yeah.
And Berahino and Pulis. A lot of people are now saying they've lost all respect for Pulis.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this? Because also we've inherited a player who might have this shocking drug addiction.
Well, the thing is, we definitely, I say definitely, I've no facts to base that statement up, but surely the club knew about this stuff.
Oh yeah, they did.
We said that. That's a fact. I don't know, if I'm totally honest, I'm not too bothered by the fact he did that. I mean, it's not good, but people change, people move on. My employment is working drug and alcohol to help people, so I know people change and stuff like that, but the way West Brom conveniently leaked it to the press, that's the biggest annoyance. And whether that was Pulis who motivated that leak, I suspect it probably was.
Yeah.
And that is annoying.
Definitely.
That's most
We've definitely done that on purpose ahead of the game to try and unsettle us, and maybe it did, I don't know. It's definitely got right up Hughes' back.
That's annoying. Yeah, did you see Charlie Adam interview?
Charlie Adam said
Five
on Five Live, yeah.
He basically had to go, Pulis, didn't he? So we know the man where this has come from. Obviously, Yeah. Obviously, it was on about Tony Pulis.
I mean, I haven't lost any respect for Tony Pulis just because he'd do it for us. You'd do it the other way. You'd win at all costs.
Yeah.
And I'd do it in the world of work or anything to try and gain an edge or a competitive edge over someone.
I think with Pulis, sort of his time at Palace, he showed that necessarily he wasn't going to have this nostalgia towards Stoke, and he wasn't going to treat them any different, because he said when he kept them up, when he took over after Holloway, he said that was his greatest achievement, and that was sort of where I realised, keeping Palace up, and I sort of, that irked me a little bit, because he's taken us to an FA Cup final, he's taken us to Europe, and I don't know what he actually thinks, but he's always got this rhetoric of winding teams up, and he did it for us. So I don't know why people are shocked by it almost.
I playing devil's advocate slightly here. West Brom obviously kept that from the press because that you will defend your own player. But it seems like that Berahino kind of had a go at the club, West Brom, several occasions, and I bet they must have been sick of it, considering they were hiding this blight that had occurred in his career.
Yeah.
A tiny part of me understands why they leaked it, because they must have been like, well, balls to you, we've been protecting you for ages, we've been saying all the right things in the press, he's just unfit, etc, etc, and he's been having little digs at us. So I'm not surprised they thought the second he was off their records, they thought, right, we're going to give it to you now, mate, because you've been nothing but a pain in the arse for the past 2 seasons. I kind of understand that a little bit, but nonetheless, like you say, it's a different club, it's a different club's mentality. They're not going to look out for Stoke's interests. They're going to do that, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. But on another side note, knowing that we knew that he had this drug problem, he looks a tiny bit overweight to me.
Okay.
He looks a little tiny belly.
little belly.
Honestly, yeah, I think so. But knowing that, and then knowing he's not played in so long, are you still surprised that we've paid how much we've paid for this guy?
Nah, it's the English inflation, isn't it? Mm-hmm. He qualifies to play for our national team, so I think that sticks.
Yeah.
5 odd million just on his price tag. And we've paid a lot, seeing as he was out of contract in the summer. But I think you've also got to look at what value he's supposed to be to us. Because if we got what we think we've got this striker who can give us all these goals, it's like the final part of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We'd be willing to pay that much, and West Brom are aware of that almost.
Yeah.
So I still think 12 million.
I agree. I think I said this last podcast actually that clubs like Stoke, general mid-table Premier League clubs, we're never going to get this 20-goal a season striker just because the player's going to choose us, because they won't, will they? If they're that good, they'll go to a better team. We have to get a player that's kind of had a little bit of trouble, be it an injury or a personal thing. That's the only way, certainly an English one at that, that's the only way we're going to get a player that might score us 15, 20 league goals. There's something wrong with the character or the fitness or something. We had to roll the dice. If we really want one of these 20-goal strikers, this is the only way.
We've got to buy one who's fucked.
Yeah, a little bit. I always like it to Ricardo Fuller a bit. When we got him, his knees were fucked. Everyone knew that. He had to go in the Premiership, didn't happen, and his stock was falling all the time. That's how we got Fuller so cheap, and that's how we kept him for so long as well, because he's got this little blot against his career. I think we've had to roll the dice again with Berahino. We've done it. I think it could still prove to be very, very good money.
Yeah? I just think he's got to get in a bit of shape.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
When he does get fit, what's your formation?
Oh, I don't know. What's your formation? I don't even have to answer that.
I think I might have to drop. Well, no, I don't, because I just said drop Crouch and play Bojan in the 10, but he's not there anymore.
Don't get on about Berahino, he's gone, mate. He's gone.
I know he's gone.
He's gone.
I know he's fucking gone, and I can't sleep at night.
I have the stat for that. I can't remember how many it was.
You
but
love heat maps.
Yeah, I do.
What's this?
What's his stats?
I think it was, we gave him 16 starts last season in a run till January, and we were 7th, and now he's gone on loan for 2 games and we're already 11th, so he's going bad. But we'll see where we're at the end of the season.
I mean, what are we going for here? Berahino, tactics or Bojan though? What are we going to say?
Well, that would have been my perfect formation, because Berahino Berahino makes runs in behind, and Bojan can pick them out.
And it's ironic. Joe Allen has probably had his
Joe Allen's
pair
not-
of his worst
he's not number 10.
performances. Thing is, he was number 10.
He just did well. No, not Liverpool.
No, I don't mean that sense, but at the start of the season he was doing it
And he
for us.
did well, and I think it was
Everyone was
just
praising
a
him.
purple patch, and it was just a mad. We've seen madder things happen, like Leicester win the fucking league.
Yeah.
Joe, put someone at 10 yards further up the pitch and they might score 4.
Yeah.
4 opportunities might drop to him and they score 4 goals, but he's not a number 10, is he? He's a tireless midfielder. You play in centre midfield to go and badger people. Bojan should be a number 10.
The problem with Allen is I think he's not defensively minded enough to play from defence. He's too hyper.
With another person.
Yeah, I think he's too hyper. Whenever he's played there this season, we've looked really, really vulnerable, haven't we? Especially at the start against Palace and all the rest of it. It's all over the place.
The only time where he's looked good, and it's probably getting back to the where would you put Berahino in, the 3-4-3, when it was actually a 3-4-3 before we started messing with midfielders dropping deep and stuff like that, like the Watford game, the Watford away. I know Alan wasn't playing then, but when he moved into that midfield too, because of Martin's Indy sort of being that link man between the defence, he looked a bit more secure.
Yeah.
So I think that's where I'd go to for the rest of the season, to the 3-4-3 with Alan, Arnautovic, Berahino and Shaqiri up front.
Okay.
But I just want now, for the rest of the season, seeing as it does look now that 7's beyond us, just choose to pick a tactic that we're going to try and play next season if he's going to stay that long,
And stick with it.
and just stick with it and get the players who he's wanting in it. Because I don't want to be harsh on Adam as much as I'd like to be, or on Crouch, but looking forward, they aren't going to be members of our first 11, hopefully, because you'd imagine that we've signed players for a lot of money who are supposed to replace them in the side. So now where we've got a little less to play for, maybe sacrifice them for a bit as to like squad players, rotation players, bring them in when the game needs them to be brought in, and stick with a plan and try and get the players you are wanting in that team working together before next season. So hopefully we don't have another crap start.
Sobby's back for the weekend, I've just thought.
Ooh.
Yeah, he is. He won't play them, will he?
No, he won't. Of course he won't play.
Big difference.
He'd rather play Glenn Whelan on the wing than Sobby.
Could be a winger. I don't know. Going back to your original question, Berahino, where did he play? I think he has to play up front with someone, but I know for a fact that Hughes won't play 2 up front because he's not done it and he won't do it. So in that case, he has to go right down the middle. But it just, I don't know.
Let's have bets. When's Berahino on the right wing?
Next weekend, Shaqiri will be number 10.
Because Crouch won't be dropped, will he?
No.
Yeah, I think I could see that. I think Shaq's all right behind the striker.
I'm going for
Surprised me.
who's after Palace.
I don't know.
Spurs.
Yes.
End of the month.
Yeah.
I'll go Spurs. Berahino's on the right wing.
Do you think?
It is going to happen. We brought a striker and he's not going to play there.
Things, but you can't. It's a weird one now because I feel like Hughes is almost a little bit stuck with the Crouch situation because he naturally won't see Crouch as his number 1 striker, will he? But at the moment, you can't drop Crouch, can you?
I don't know, he was pretty ineffective against West Brom.
Sounds like everyone was crap against West Brom.
Everyone was crap.
But you've got to remember, Hughes loves dropping a striker after one bad game.
Yeah.
So that could be the excuse.
What? Getting away from Berahino now, I think we've all confirmed he's going to play on the wing instead. What did you make of Glenn Whelan saying Ngoy was crap when he was coming on? What was his exact words?
Well, I didn't see the performance, so was he just?
He hadn't come on and performed yet. This was when Ngoy's come on. Whelan turned to the bench and said something along the lines of...
I'm not sure. I think, so what looks like it had happened and what people have said, I only saw the second half, which I was certain did happen. So he plays a ball to Ngoy, and Ngoy tries to... I think it's quite a hard ball into him, so it's hard for him to get it in under his feet. He tries to like flick it over the defender, almost like Fuller did against Villa in that first goal.
Yeah.
And he does it and he just goes straight out. And some people, I can't say I saw it, said they saw the camera on Whelan and it was sort of said something like fucking shit.
Yeah, he's fucking
shit or something like that. But the one I definitely saw was something else happens and Whelan lays the ball to Ngoy, who tries to take his man on, loses it, and Whelan sort of spins around and glares at the bench doing double teapot, really like staring at him. And I don't know, I know we've argued about it in the group chat a lot, but I think as a captain you've got to support a young player in that situation. I don't think you can be treating them like that. maybe it's the game situation and Whelan's pissed off at himself and everyone else's performance. But if you're supposed to be the club's vice captain, surely leadership says you've got to be a bit calmer of a head there.
I didn't see any of these incidents, but I've heard about, what you just said, Tom, but I can't, and I'm going off nothing here, but I can't help but think that Whelan isn't that type of character. He's the sort of character that would bollock someone that's young and messing up, I get that, but to look at them bluntly and say you're shit and all that, I just can't imagine Whelan's that type of character. I really can't imagine him being that harsh to a young player.
Yeah,
really.
No one can confirm it actually happened for start, because camera angles and you don't know.
Yes,
you don't know what.
He might be angry at his own pass.
Yeah,
maybe.
Maybe. But as well, Ngoy wasn't great when he came on, but not everyone was.
I spoke
no
to
one
my
was
dad
great.
today and he said that Ngoy was good.
He tried to go at him.
He was there. He's the only player who sort of thought
he tried.
You've got to go direct.
Yeah, he tried, but none of it came.
What,
off.
is he 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's only a young lad.
Yeah.
Some people have really been laying into him, and I think that's just totally wrong.
I said, shout out Wizards podcast, deploying Ngoy, their whole campaign. I tweeted, deploying Ngoy back to the under-23s. That was my tweet. That's how bad I thought he played, but he was trying to go at people, which is very positive to see, but just none of it came off. And I was really frustrated at the whole team's performance.
But he's a striker, isn't he?
Yeah.
That's his on the wing.
Yeah.
But to be fair, isn't it weird, with all the midfielders we've got, I appreciate I haven't got many wingers, but how limited our wing options have been recently. When Shaq was injured, Afly was there, who had a poor game, and I absolutely love Afly.
Afly on the wing.
Afly's crossing.
Afly, never do Afly on the wing again. Ever.
I think he's our best footballer for being a footballer.
I think he's so switched on.
Yeah.
Like, he knows exactly what's coming, but with Peters and him on the wings, and they were the two who were predominantly going down the wings, West Brom stood off and let them cross.
If I see the lineup for Palace this weekend and it's got Afly on the wing, you can literally just picture me sat there looking at the team sheet with "Hello Darkness" playing in my head.
But I thought he was good against Everton on the wing. I thought he was alright. He wasn't a winger.
Right.
He wasn't playing the winger role, but I thought he linked in well with midfield and the striker.
It worked well while Everton were playing a back three, because we sort of ended up with Arnie, Crouch and Afellay all taking on one of their centre-backs, and it worked. And Koeman, being the good manager he is, saw there was a problem and switched it straight away at half-time, and Afellay just didn't do much.
I tell you what needs to happen with Afellay. He needs...
As an out-and-out winger, he's definitely not.
But he was a winger, wasn't he, in his early days? That was his thing, he was the tricky little winger.
He was.
Obviously he's matured and developed his game, but what has to happen, if I'm going to do my predicted 11, Afellay should be in that number 10 role against Palace. Definitely. That is his best position. He kept Berahino out of the team last year when he come back in, because he was ace, and Allen either to be rested or drop back slightly. That's where Afellay should be, 100%. Kind of striker. He's a class player.
I'd rather him seen there than anywhere else on the pitch.
Yeah, that's probably. This is the worst reaction I've seen from Afellay performance he's been at the club, I'd say.
Yeah,
I've never really heard him slated.
Apart from the red card against West Brom.
Yeah, and he played on the wing then as well. So there we go.
There's a correlation.
Don't play him on the wing.
Don't put Afellay on the wing. Something else I wanted to talk about this week. It's been everywhere in the news. This weekend, Sky Sports, Gary Neville after Arsenal-Chelsea. He mentioned about he drove out the ground and saw Arsenal Fan TV and the cameras, said it was embarrassing. He also called an Arsenal fan who had a banner saying Wenger out an idiot. Now, this has completely been blown out of proportion now, and it's everywhere. But I wanted to fight the fan media corner, because obviously we are fan media. But I can understand what Gary Neville says, and he's since come out and said it's his opinion, which is fine. But I think what he's come out and said, how he called a fan an idiot, the way he said about Arsenal fans, he said, I saw them with their cameras. They've got one camera. I know the guys. They've got one. It's not tons of them. There's one camera. There's one guy, and it's just come out very bad for Gary Neville. I feel it's very degrading towards Arsenal Fan TV, and it's degrading towards the fan in the stands. Every fan's got the right to voice their opinion, and to call a fan an idiot, that's his opinion. Fair enough, I'll take that. But you wouldn't find him calling Souness or Carragher an idiot in the studio. It just doesn't happen. He's got more professional. But when it comes to fans, and the fans are the people who make the game. Football's nothing without fans. You know, is it a bit too much?
I think the problem with what Gary Neville said is, like you say, that's their opinion. You can't call that opinion to be idiotic, because that is literally their opinion. That's what they think, and I can completely appreciate the Wenger out sentiment in general. What I would say is that Arsenal fan TV, it does capture very what's the word I'm looking for? Dramatic characters, doesn't it?
Definitely.
Very dramatic characters that are kind of a little bit over the top, and I think some of the opinion it's either end of the scale. I think it's rare that I see on Arsenal fan TV someone just in the middle that's a bit sensible. I think Gary Neville's just probably, I don't know, is he sick of this extreme polar opinions? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. But it gets like it is. I'll say some of it's embarrassing for the for other Arsenal fans, because they're so easy to then take the mick out of. You've got video on video on video. The same people week in week out. One game they might say something good. One next week they might say something bad, and you can chop that video together and you can make them stupid really easily because there's so much content there on these same fans. But for Gary Neville to come out and finally acknowledge a fan channel in that manner, and also to say it's embarrassing when there's things like TalkSport built on fans ringing in, being idiots, 505, all your other,
just football in general.
Football in general is a game of opinions, but to come out and then, to acknowledge a fan channel in a way like that, and then to say those things, and then come out after and say, "Oh, it's my opinion." It's a bit.
For me, it was the fact that he went after the institution of Arsenal fan TV rather than the actual fans, because I don't know Robbie or any of them, but to me it seems like they're just really passionate about allowing fans to have a voice, allowing fans to vent their frustrations or praise the team after a match, and sort of the way that he talked about them. Okay, didn't say anything necessarily directly at them, but he talked about it dismissively in a way of almost like they don't really matter.
Sky versus the fan channels.
To be fair, I think Sky are the last to drop on with this sort of stuff. BT, you've seen this season, they've got fans on. They've got fans doing 30-second segments after Dave's been on. Doing 30-second segments after games.
Yeah.
And they're sort of incorporating that and accepting that it's a part of it. Sky are last on that. And it shows, obviously calling institutions like Arsenal fan TV embarrassing. But everyone's involved, everyone's got the right to have an opinion, and that's Gary Neville's, but it's just the way it came across. It wasn't great. It wasn't great at all. And to be fair to Robbie on that, I obviously know them. I know some of the characters that are on there. They do interview everyone. They interview everyone who wants an interview. It just so happens that those other fans are there, paying the money week in, week out. They're also there every week. So why can't they speak? Why can't people tune in to hear what they've got to say?
He's had a shout back, hasn't he, Robbie? He's come out and he's given Gary a little bit back.
Oh yeah, he's giving him back. Gary Neville's scheduled to go on. I don't know when that'll be or how that'll be made happen. But I'll definitely be tuning in. And Robbie can buy a new kitchen from the views that Gary Neville will give him. So all's fair. All's fair. That is actually becoming a running joke when Arsenal lose a game or so. People say Robbie's wife's having a new kitchen.
So Arsenal fan TV, whenever they do lose, it's all over social media, isn't it? Like the Lad Bible, Football Away Days, Paddy Power, all the rest of it. It's ridiculous.
Paddy Power did their own one this weekend, like a sort of parody.
Did they? I saw that.
It wasn't great.
The thing is, I was getting a bit off subject here with Stoke, but they were always going to lose at Chelsea away, to be fair. I don't know why their fans were getting so irate. They're always going to lose to Chelsea, because they always do.
Yeah, another point as well that people are saying, well, don't make videos. You can't make a video one week when you win against Southampton, next week when you lose to Chelsea. It doesn't work like that. You can't do that. It's not right.
And even if it wasn't there, the fans would still take the piss. I mean, you've got the Liverpool fan that was the traditional meme going around saying this is our year. So if you get that at the start of every single season, everyone takes the piss out of football fans. It's just what football fans do.
Yeah, it is.
It's part of football. I shout out to anyone who goes to games, because I'd like to do more fan cams. I wouldn't like to take it as far as Arsenal fan TV. We probably never will, because we're not as big a club, and we're never going to get that sort of exposure unless it's something really
like a Leicester.
really
That's what
bad.
I don't
No, or like the West Ham fan TV one that blew up.
The
Astragogo. Yeah. And I'd never like it to go that far, but I'd like to do fan cams with people who've got, you know, honest opinions. So if you do go games, come in or let me know you're going to go. And we did a brilliant interview this weekend with Sam, the little mascot.
He's a lad who was on soccer.
Little lad, yeah, he was on soccer and said he was glad we didn't sack Hughes.
Yeah.
But that he was good. But I haven't got it in me to, you know, after a game you've just been pasted, go and try and find people. If people are there and want to speak, yeah, fair enough.
It is hard, yeah.
Like I'm not walking around asking people. It's just not my nature.
Yeah. I know I always feel a tad awkward about that. I remember I went up to one person at Palace, and I don't know if he was taking the piss now, but I said, look, because I heard him throughout the game, he was making some decent points. So I went up and said, do you mind if you have a quick word with Bear Pit TV? And he just went to me, no media. I don't know if he was taking the piss or if he was being serious. Then he kind of went off in a little huff, and he just makes sure I can't be arsed. I can't be arsed. Tramps around.
God knows. God knows. A last bit, not a last bit, a couple of bits left on the pod. I opened up a few questions to people that they wanted to fire to us and ask, so I'm going to read them out.
Yeah.
Matthew Haley, or Haley, I'm not sure how you say it, says Shawcross hasn't filled in with much confidence this season. Should Mooney be in there after that great run that he had?
Well, first and foremost, he's not fit enough to be in there, which kind of makes it makes the question a bit void. If he was, the debate would be there, but he's just never fit enough, is he?
He's not always fit.
I think you could definitely have that debate, but he's just not fit enough to even get to that point, unfortunately. It's a shame, because I think he's a good player. And I think when we did play that wing-back system, he was the perfect player to play it. But like I say, he's just not fit enough.
But I also think that's harsh on Shawcross.
Yeah, no, it is.
Because I mean, when you look at how bad the defence as a whole's been for the past 18 months, to single Shawcross out as someone who's at the heart of that, I've seen everyone in that defence make mistakes.
Yeah.
Even Mines Indy, who for me has been our best signing, he's just been immense.
We haven't signed him yet.
Best loans, yeah.
Yeah, addition to the squad.
Sorry about that. Craig and Tom have both gone home. So if you want to catch the rest of that pod, you're going to have to go to iTunes because of a technical error. Really, it wasn't their fault, but you're going to have to go watch it on iTunes because the camera stopped recording. Sorry about that. Do leave a like on the video, comment, and let us know if you enjoyed it when you have gone and listened to it on the podcast on iTunes. And see you later.